Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Mastering the UC Application webinar. We're so excited to have you here today. In today's session, I'll walk you through the essential information you need as you work on your applications. We'll share some tips and strategies to help you put together your strongest application possible. So before we start, I'm going to share some important information. Awesome. So today's webinar is being recorded. Note that a copy of the recording is also going to become available on our YouTube channel in about 2 weeks. You'll be able to access it if you go to undergraduate admissions events recordings on our page. It's going to be located on the resources section of our website as well. If you have any questions during the presentation, we encourage you to use the Zoom Q&A feature. We have my colleagues here, our dedicated staff, standing by and will be ready to respond to your questions throughout the session. And a quick note about timing, because we have a limited amount of time today, we may not be able to answer every question. We'll do our best, but if it's not answered during today's webinar, feel free to reach out to our admissions team. We'll have a connect page at the end of the presentation as well, but you can also use our contact us form on our website. It's also on the resources section. Please note that in accordance with UC policy and guidelines, we're unable to share student-specific admissions information with anyone other than the student. We appreciate your understanding and cooperation with this policy. And then lastly, if you would like to enable closed captioning, simply click the live transcript icon on your Zoom toolbar, and then you're going to select Show Captions to turn on the automated subtitles. And thank you again for joining us. Awesome. So we're going to get started by talking about the UC campuses. So there's 9 campuses, and you can't go wrong. They're across California. The UC system is one of the largest university systems in the world, offering undergraduate and graduate programs on campuses located from Southern California all the way up to UC Davis and UC Berkeley in Northern California. While you might not receive an offer from admissions from your first choice campus, all of our campuses, without exception, provide an outstanding opportunity for you to learn and grow. Great. So applications for fall 2026 are open now. With this one application, you can apply to any or all 9 of our UC campuses. The submission period goes through December 1st. Application fees are $80 per campus for domestic students and then $95 for our international students. There are fee waivers available within the application if you qualify, and they'll cover up to 4 campuses. We do recommend applying to multiple campuses to maximize your chances of admissions. For first-year students, you'll receive decisions by March 31st, and then first-year students will accept their offer by May 1st. Just keep these dates in your mind so you don't miss your opportunity to join our vibrant Triton communities. Awesome. We'll talk a little bit about dates here. Like we said, the application's open now for next fall. The filing period is October 1st to December 1st. So that means that you can start to submit your application on October 1st, but you have all the way until December to submit it. Students can begin to craft your section without submitting. So you can start your application today. And just remember, since the UC does not use letters of recommendation, interviews, or portfolios that are required, like unless your portfolio is required for a specific major, the UC application is the only way for students to present and advocate for themselves. Some campuses do require supplemental materials like nursing, fine arts, again, with those portfolios. Students should speak with the campuses they're interested in for more information, especially those majors if you're interested in nursing or fine arts. The UC application will also indicate whether a supplemental application material is required, so it'll show if you're selecting one of those, if you need that or not. Again, October 1st through December 2nd is when you can start submitting your application. It was extended to December 2nd for fall 2025, given the timing of Thanksgiving this year. It's usually November 30th if you're here in advance for the next year. While applications are not considered on first come, first served basis, you should take your time filling it out. So that means if you're submitting your application on October 1st or you're submitting it on December 2nd, one's not going to get viewed before the other. So really take your time once you start your application. It's important to note that once submitted, applications applicants can update very little information within their application. You should ensure that your total UC application is accurate and complete before you submit. So really don't feel any pressure to rush through it. I know that October 1st is coming up, but you don't have to submit on October 1st. That's just the first day you're able to submit. The next deadline we want to look out for is December through March 2nd. All students should submit a FAFSA. This is the free application for federal student aid, or a California DREAM Act application. You might hear it be called the CADAA. The majority of students at UC do receive financial aid and scholarships. We'll cover that a little bit more in detail later in the presentation. But campuses do use information from the FAFSA and the California DREAM Act application for both admission and scholarships. Awesome. So for March, first-year admission decisions are released through the month. Sorry, almost done with the deadlines. So for March, first-year admission decisions are released throughout the month. Campuses do not release decisions at the same day. We all have first-year decisions released by March 31st. And then again, May 1st is the deadline to submit your statement of intent to register. This is your kind of statement saying that I'm committing to this campus. And then lastly, July, campuses will use a self-reported information to admit students. So UC does not require or want you to submit any of your official transcripts when you're applying. You're going to want to hang on to these for once you are admitted. We'll ask for official transcript only from admitted students who've submitted their SIR by May 1st. And then all of those official records are due by July 1st, with the exception of AP and IB exams that aren't released until July 15th. Awesome. So we're going to go through a lot of information today with your application. As we get started on kind of going through each section, again, if you have your application pulled up or you come across kind of any weird questions, feel free to drop your questions. My colleagues here will help answer as best as we can. And then if we can't get to it today, again, we'll provide some contact information at the end. Awesome. So before you start, you want to consider your major and your campus options. You want to get an unofficial copy of your transcript and start writing your personal insight questions. Students should research their campuses and apply broadly across the system. Learn about the different majors offered within each campus and all the types of courses needed to earn that degree. That way you can be fully informed about the graduation requirements and you can plan how long it might take you to graduate depending on your major. Some majors have different names across the different UC campuses and will be located in different departments as well. And then some majors are not open to first-year applicants or are not open for every term. So keep that in mind. Do a little bit of research before you get started or definitely before you submit your application. And then responses to the personal insight questions are important. You definitely want to get started on writing your responses early. Refer to our UC online resources for writing tips and workshop video. If I can have one of my colleagues drop this link for the how to applying as a freshman personal insight questions. This is a really good resource. I'd just have it open as you're typing out your answers so that way you can keep these tips in mind. Awesome. So application integrity. This one's really important. Students must thoroughly complete all sections of the application accurately. We like to tell students, don't guess what you got in your classes. If you have your unofficial transcript, pull it up and enter it exactly as it is seen. This is a student's opportunity to tell the admission staff about personal details that make each applicant unique. The academic history must accurately be reported. All enrollment, every school or college, all courses and grades. Even if a course was repeated, if you failed the class and repeated it and passed it the second time, you still do need to report that first fail. If a student accepts an offer of admission, the UC requires official academic records to verify the information reported. So again, don't guess, if you can't remember what you got in the class, don't try to do it off memory. Really have that unofficial record pulled up and enter exactly as you would see it on that transcript. And then activities and awards. Applicants should not exaggerate or fabricate awards or activities because this information is subjected to verification. So you don't want to make anything up or kind of exaggerate one of your awards or your accomplishment. Just be accurate and honest because yeah, this information is subject to verification. And the UC does verify information that students report on the application, so it's critical not to misrepresent or falsify information, as it's a serious offense and can result in serious consequences, like your admission status being canceled. So we don't want that to happen to any of you. I'm sure none of you want that to happen as well. So honesty is the best policy here. Great. So for first year admission and selection, campuses have multiple factors when they are selecting students. The way in which campuses select students varies from campus to campus, and this is to the student's advantage to include as much information as possible on the application. Admission representatives want to know about the experiences and accomplishments and challenges of every applicant. Again, we want to get to know you. Students should feel free to discuss their roles, responsibilities at work or in community service. If you volunteered anywhere, share your stories through your PIQ responses and talk about educational journey. This is because every student is considered in the context within their own environment, which includes but it's not limited to school life, family, geographic region. Students are also considered within the context of the applicant pool for each campus. Each campus will complete their own individual review of the application independently of one another. So how UC San Diego reviews the application will be independent of how UC Irvine or UC Berkeley, and so forth. So that just means they're not going to review the information in the application and select students without asking what the other campuses have decided. So we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Berkeley will not call UCLA and ask if they admitted a certain student. Every campus selects students individually and independently. Awesome. So we have our comprehensive review. This is just going to give you an oversight of what is being looked at. So it's important to note that this is not a checklist and it doesn't list all the factors. There's actually 13 factors for our first year students that are looked at. This is only intended to show that the UC campuses do consider many factors because we really want to get that whole context of a student inside and outside of the classroom. So in general, campuses are looking for well-qualified students who've taken advantage of educational opportunities presented to them both inside and outside the classroom. Again, these categories listed here comprise of a range of factors that campuses may consider, like academic achievement, GPA, honors courses, maybe your school does ELC status, your A through G courses, your quality of your senior year program, and achievements in special projects. All the UC campuses do a comprehensive review, but there are different methods of this review. So think of it like all the campuses use the same ingredients, but maybe they don't have the same recipes. They're all using different recipes. Some are holistic and others are not. The faculty at each campus determines what factors will be used in what way. Again, this should not be seen as a checklist, more as boxes you can check, the more competitive you will be. We're going to look at a student's achievement within the context of their educational environment and the resources and opportunities that were available to them. So that means if you're a student or you are at a school that does not offer AP or IB, that's not going to be held against a student. We're really going to look at what was available to that student in the context in which they are applying from. Awesome. So starting the UC application, creating an account if you haven't already. Getting started with creating an account, like we said, that opened August 1st, so you can already create your account today if you haven't. You can follow alongside with us and pull it up on another tab if you're on your laptops. You're going to start your UC application at apply.universityofcalifornia.edu. I'll have one of my colleagues link that link into the chat as well. So your new users will need to enter a unique email address and password. I like to encourage our students to keep that password handy. This is not going to be a open, create an account and submit your application on the same day process. You really want to be sure you're taking your time. So keep that password handy. You'll be using it a lot. And then applicants will use the same account if you apply again in the future. And again, it's just one application for all the UC campuses. If the student's family has multiple applicants or has future applicants, different email addresses must be used. So say you have siblings that have applied or are applying as well, just make sure that your account has a different email address than their account. Passwords are going to need to be 8 characters long. Keep it secret, but keep it handy because you're going to need it a lot. Once you create a new account, an email confirmation is going to start at your application. It's going to be sent to you so that you can confirm your account. And then campuses will use email to send critical, time-sensitive correspondence to applicants. So you do want to use an email that you regularly check. Don't put us in your spam email. If you have an email that you use for all the stores that you go to, this is going to be one that you want to keep handy because you will get pinged from all the campuses there. And then also just remember to adjust your email filters to accept mail from the UC addresses. They might go into that spam or junk folder if you don't adjust them. And then our login for first-time users, you're going to click create a new account. And then if you're a returning visitor, enter your email and password under the sign-in. Awesome. So creating the application, students must select the appropriate level for which they are applying to. A first-year applicant is a student who is currently in high school or has graduated from high school, but not yet ever enrolled in a regular session, which means winter, fall, spring at a college or university after high school. So if you're a high school student and you're going to be graduating this upcoming May or June, and you maybe took dual enrollment or you enrolled in college courses, you're still a first-year student. It's only applicable if you enroll in college for a regular session after you graduate. And then middle college and dual enrollment students are still considered first years as well. And then a student who has enrolled, anyone who's enrolled in a regular session, even if it's just one class, if you signed up for a fall session at a community college after high school, you'll be considered a transfer applicant. Awesome. So navigating the UC application, the application includes 7 sections, and it can be completed in any order. So you can, if you created that account today, or maybe you've created it already and you started filling out that About You section, you can pick and choose the order as you go. So you could do academic history today, save test scores for tomorrow. The application will save as you fill it out. And then the About You section comes first as it contains conditional logic that will be used throughout the application. So you'll want to complete the About You section first. Awesome. We'll talk more about that now. Perfect. So starting with lived name, the application is going to ask you if you have a lived name. When completing your personal details, applicants have the option to indicate a lived name or a preferred name. A lived name or a preferred name is just the name that you go by that is different than your legal name. So for example, a middle name that you go by or a name that aligns with your gender identity. If you enter a lived name, we'll use it in most with you about the application, except when it's required for us to use your legal name. If your legal name is the name you go by, you can just select no here and move forward. Don't enter your legal name as your lived name if you go by your legal name. You don't want to enter it twice. Awesome. So SSID, the state's Cradle to Career system is expanding across to tools and services to navigate the education to employment pipeline. Now, that's a lot of information, but in previous admission cycles, students will be able to continue to link their californiacollege.edu and their UC application accounts. The linkage ensures the application submission status on the UC application is reflected within californiacolleges.edu account. So beginning with the fall 2025 UC application, students who attend a CCGI partner school will be able to import their coursework directly into the UC application from their californiacolleges.edu using their SSID. To utilize this course import function, applications must authorize the release of their SSID and any personal information to CCGI as shown in the screenshot. More information about this important function is found in the academic history section. All right. So next we're going to talk about citizenship and residency. So first, for citizenship, applicants must select a country of citizenship from the country drop-down menu. Students who are U.S. citizens will have a follow-up question about tribal affiliation. This response, along with the California residency status determined by the Statement of Legal Residency Information, will determine whether the student qualifies for the Native American Opportunity Program. For those who choose a country other than the United States, there will be follow-up questions on permanent residency and/or visa status. For our undocumented students, for country of citizenship, select no selection and follow the directions under the SSN below. And then for Social Security, the SSN, all applicants who have a Social Security number are required to enter it. Deferred action for childhood arrivals are DACA participants and undocumented students. Enter a valid SSN for work purposes, or ITIN if available. Otherwise, leave it blank. If an applicant does not have an SSN, you may want to skip that item. We use the SSN to accurately and reliably merge test scores if they're submitted and federal financial aid application, the FAFSA, with admissions application. The SSN for work purposes, and ITIN numbers are encrypted and kept secure. Awesome. So next we're going to talk about your household, family size, and income, information about a student's parent, legal guardians, education, income, family size is all used to provide contextual information about the home environment and determine eligibility for the application fee waiver. For more information, students can click on the I icon. This information is not used to determine residency status or eligibility for financial aid. And then for parent info, the entering parental information and their relationship to students helps campus admission staff better understand the family context for applicants. Students can enter up to 2 parents or guardians. Students also have the option to submit contact information for their parents. This is optional and will not influence the admissions process at all. Doing so just allows campuses the option to send parents important admissions updates and information, though they will not receive any information about a student's application or admissions decision. Awesome. So statement of legal residence. In this section, the UC will collect information to determine residency for tuition purposes. Students must choose whether they would like to be evaluated for California residency for tuition purposes or not. So you'll select, yes, I want to be considered for California residency for tuition purposes. That option will bring up additional questions about the students and their parents and legal guardians' physical presence in California. If you select no, I do not want to be evaluated, a student will select this option. They will need to select a reason for why they do not want to be evaluated for California residency. They will also need to acknowledge that by selecting no, they will be classified as a non-resident for tuition purposes. Awesome. So for the yes, I do want to be considered for California residency for tuition purposes option, this is going to bring up additional questions and ask about, sorry, I think I'm reading the same thing twice. Okay, sorry about that. So there will be different prompts will appear when requesting the parent information, depending on whether the applicant's parents are married and or live together. Additional documentation or information may be requested by the campuses for students who wish to be evaluated for California residency. So just be sure to respond to any requests in a timely manner. Awesome. Declining residency consideration. So this is for that no button. If the student selects this option, they will need to select a reason why that they don't want to be evaluated for California residency. They'll also need to acknowledge that by selecting no, they will be classified as a non-resident for tuition purposes. Awesome. So for the statement for legal residence for our undocumented students, undocumented students should answer questions as suggested above, assuming that they have maintained a presence in California and have attended a California high school. These students will need to provide additional information through the system-wide statement of legal residency, pre-admission, or to the campus where they want to enroll. More instructions, I'll have one of my colleagues drop this link down as well. More instructions can be found at the universityofcalifornia.edu/counselors. This is linked in the UC application as well, if you'd like to find more information on that. Awesome. So we got through a bulk of the nitty and gritty information. Next, we're going to jump into campuses and majors. So with that, we'll go ahead and show this fun map of all of our UC campuses, starting from the top with UC Davis. We have UC Berkeley and Santa Cruz and Merced in the very top of Northern California, coming all the way down to Santa Barbara, UCLA, UC Riverside, UC Irvine, and us, UC San Diego. Just as a reminder, students should only submit one UC application. You can choose to send it to as many of the campuses as you'd like. Again, one application to all the campuses. Don't submit multiple, please. There is a fee associated with each campus that you select. It is $80 per campus for our domestic students and $95 per campus for our international students. A fee waiver, again, is available for eligible students. And that will waive the fee for up to 4 college campuses. And then importantly, though you will be able to apply to multiple UCs at once, you do not need to rank them in order of like your preference or you don't need to indicate any campus preference at all. All the campuses who receive your application will give it a thorough and careful review independently from one another. So we don't consider, if you're applying to UC San Diego and UC Irvine and UCLA, we're not considering the fact that, okay, the student applied to us, but they also applied to UCLA. That's completely independent from one another. So moving on, choosing your major. So once you've selected your campus choices, the UC application is going to guide you to choose your major for each campus. Applicants will indicate a major selection, again, for each campus. And do keep in mind, again, that some of the ways that each campus names a major might differ, even though they might be similar topics, they may just have different names. The default view is college, the college view, which shows you all the available majors by their college placement. And again, by default, closed majors will not appear unless you choose to select the checkbox that reads Show Closed Majors. You won't be able to apply to a closed major, but if you just want to see which ones were there but are currently closed, you can check that checkbox. And then you don't need to select the same or similar major at UC campus, at each UC campus you've selected. Perfect. If preferred, applicants can view available majors for each campus by using the category instead of the college feature. This could be helpful if you don't know which college a particular major falls in. And then again, you don't need to select the same or similar major at each UC campus you've selected. Great, so now we're going to talk about alternate majors. Students can select both a major and an alternate major at all campuses with the exception of UCLA. If a campus is unable to offer an applicant a place in their first choice major, they may be considered for their alternate major. Be sure that the alternate major is a subject area that the student that you do really want to study. In some cases, it should be in a different area of study than the primary major. Students can be admitted for their alternate major, so it's important to just keep in mind that if you are picking an alternate major, it is something that you're going to be happy with. And then do note that not all campuses will consider students for an alternate major. Some campuses may have restrictions on changing majors once a student is admitted into that major. Awesome. So supplemental applications. Some majors might have requirements for applicants to submit supplemental materials. The requirements for materials will vary from campus to campus and from program to program. You'll want to pay close attention to the deadline for the supplemental applications, and there'll be kind of a small note under it. Um, and then applicants will see messaging in the UC application if you have selected a major that does require supplemental applications. Awesome. Whew, we're going through this fast. So the UC San Diego colleges. UC San Diego participates in the college system. This is a little bit unique to some of our other UC campuses. If a student is applying to UC San Diego, students have the option to rank their top 4 colleges in order of preference. Um, and then that gives you the best chance of being assigned to a college of your choice. The ranking process is optional. If students do not rank their top 4, they will be assigned to any of the 8 colleges by UC San Diego upon admission. Really important note here that the ranking of the colleges does not affect your transfer admissions at all. And then all majors are available in all colleges. This information can be confusing for students if you haven't heard of the college system before. Some people like to talk a bit kind of as the housing system. So each college has different philosophies, general education requirements. They have their own campus neighborhood, residence facilities, staff and traditions, events, and then again, distinctive educational philosophies. So I'm going to show you a little bit on how you can actually rank them within the application. If you do choose to rank the colleges, this page is going to give you detailed information on each college's philosophy and a link to their website. I really encourage students to research each college before deciding the order that you rank them. The order that you rank them is really considered when you are being placed into your college. So definitely take your time, spend your time on this page. You'll have an opportunity to read that philosophy statement, but I would really encourage you to click on those links, explore those general education requirements, see if those are classes you're interested in, and kind of choose to rank your colleges based off that information. Awesome. So we're going to talk about academic history next, starting with 7th and 8th grade coursework. It does not need to appear on the high school transcript. Math and language other than English, you'll see this noted as LOTE, are the only subject areas that can be met with coursework in middle school. And then the UC will accept a geometry course completed in middle school as well. Students who indicate that they attended a school outside of the US will be prompted to select the language of instruction for those years. So just be sure that you're accurately reporting that information. Awesome. So high school attendance. Attending a high school, you're going to want to enter all the high schools you've attended since 9th grade. You can search for your school by name, city, or school code. Um, Again, you're going to want to list every school attended, even if 9th grade was considered middle school, where you are. Students can search by the SEEB code as well. And then if a student can't find their school, it can be added by typing the full name of the school and then clicking add. Awesome. So once the correct high school has been selected, you'll want to enter the dates of attendance. If a student is graduating early, the dates of attendance should reflect that. Students can also choose a specialized curriculum on the screen. And then if this is the same school that the student is going to graduate from, enter the certificate and diploma information. Enter the grading and term system for the school. And then it's important to note that multiple grading and term systems can be selected for one school. Maybe your school switched from trimester to semester. You'll be able to note that on the application. And then you'll want to be sure to repeat this process for every school attended since 9th grade. Again, considering if even if 9th grade is considered as middle school for where you are. And then I would again recommend having your unofficial transcript pulled up while you do this. Awesome. So high school dates of attendance. Beyond the start and end date, students will indicate which academic year they attended that school for and for which grade. They also have the option to indicate whether they took any summer courses after each grade as well. And then important course info from CCGI Partner School. Applicants who are graduating from a California College Guidance Initiative or CCGI partner school have the option to import their course and grades directly into the UC application. In order to be able to do that, you want to start their UC application from the CCGI website, or you can create their UC application and indicate they are graduating from a CCGI partner school. If you do so, you'll see a message provided on each slide prompting them to update their information and the personal info about you if needed. In the About You section, applicants will need to indicate that they attended a California public school. You'll indicate your SSID number and then authorize the release of information to that CCGI. If you do so, it could take up to 12 hours for the courses to actually import. So just keep that in mind if you are going that option. Don't save it for December 1st. You want to get that done far in advance so you're not waiting for everything to load. And then students are able to select skip to manually enter coursework if that's the case as well. Awesome. So once a student's data is verified by CCGI, they'll be able to import their courses and grades just with that blue button. Even if applicants import their CCGI course data, they'll need to review all of the courses and grades and make any edits as needed. You can manually make corrections to any course or grades and use the edit button. The import function is only available to CCGI partner schools. If students also attended a non-partner high school, so say you attended both a CCGI and a non-partner school, you'll need to enter that additional high school and coursework manually, as shown previously through entering the academic history tabs. So high school coursework, courses are selected or entered by grade level beginning with ninth grade. First, select the subject area, course category, and the course to be entered. So English, math, etc. If a student is enrolled in a California high school, you'll select the pre-populated course list for the school. To see the courses, just expand each subject area. And then new California high school courses being offered for the first time in the senior year may not appear on the school's list until October 1st. If you don't see a new course on the list, remember to come back and add it later, but no later than November 30th or before submitting your application. Don't forget to enter your 12th grade courses in progress and planned. Indicating that you have no coursework in 12th grade may imply that you have not met the minimum admission requirement. So we know that you guys are still taking those classes. Just make sure you mark them as planned. And then you want to be sure to include all original courses and grades and enter repeated courses for any D's or F's. So just because you passed it that second time doesn't mean you should leave it out for that first time. You just, again, go through it on your record and put it exactly as it's seen, and have that transcript again as you're filling it out. So if you entered multiple term types or multiple grading systems for a school, you'll then need to choose a term type and grade system for each course. So 12th grade courses will just default to in progress or planned. And if you've already graduated and have senior year grades, you'll manually enter them for each course. For courses that are only one semester long, select no in the term for which the course was not offered. So for example, if you were in an economics class offered for fall, but that was just the one semester, for the spring term, you'll select no. And then include all original courses and grades and entered repeated coursework subsequently. So if you took it, maybe your sophomore year and you got a D, you'll enter it that way. And then for your junior year, if you repeated that course, you'll enter it that way as well. Awesome. So if students don't see their courses, and for all students not enrolled in a California high school, unfortunately, these courses will need to be entered manually as they appear on the academic record. When entries for each grade are complete, click and save to continue. Click save to continue. And then you're going to repeat this process for each grade, including grade 12, and again, just marking that in progress or plan for those grades. And then also remembering to make sure to mark no for anyone that was only like a semester long. Perfect. For college courses taken while in high school, if any university level courses were completed at all, you're going to add that college information after the high school information. This includes anything through dual enrollment or middle college program. And then dual enrollment courses should not be reported in both high school and college sections. You want to just add them only one time. This process is very similar to entering the high school information. Only courses worth at least 3 semester or 4 quarter units should be reported here. Courses that were fewer units should be reported on the activities and awards section instead of the academic history section. And then college courses taken in high school, finding a college. If they were at a California community college and they're UC transferable, the course list will appear. You'll go ahead and select that course taken, your grade earned, in progress if it's planned, and then the A through G subject area in which the course fits. Only report courses taken for a letter grade. And then non-UC transferable English and math courses can also be reported in this section of the application, but will need to be entered manually. If a college or university course was not taken at a California community college, you'll manually enter that information as well as it would appear on your official transcript. And then students must enter all UC transferable as well as non-transferable English and math courses taken and any courses taken in the A through G subject material. Just keep in mind that like missing inaccurate information can be viewed as falsification. And unfortunately, this can result in cancellation of your application. So when in doubt, report it. If you think, you're unsure of something, you can always reach out and ask. But yeah, definitely keep that in mind. You don't want it to appear that you've falsified or misrepresented yourself at all in the application. The additional comments academic history section is available as an opportunity for students to share information about your academic history. They want anything that you want the campuses to know. The campuses will use this information to better understand the student's academic context. The section is not required, it's optional, but for applicants who do choose to submit the information, there is a character limit of 550 words. Again, this is a good space to use if you want to discuss any significant impacts on your educational experience or context. Another example for this section, if there are AP honor courses at your, if AP honor level courses at your high school are limited to certain grade levels, for example, you can only start taking AP at your sophomore year. It's a good space to kind of note that. Were you prevented from taking any intended courses due to a schedule conflict? Maybe the AP class you wanted was offered during a different class and you couldn't take both at the same time. Maybe there's a school policy or curriculum change. Did you experience any significant breaks in your school attendance? Kind of any information that you feel is important that you'd like the colleges to know. Again, not required, but if you find that there maybe wasn't a spot on the application for you to kind of give us more context and you'd like to provide that, that's what the academic history section is there for. So next, we're going to talk about test scores. First, we're going to talk about English language proficiency. So this is only students who have fewer than 3 years of high school in the US and whose primary language of instruction outside of the US was not in English. You're going to be required to provide an English proficiency score. And then official testing scores are not required until a student is offered admission to a UC. So you'll report your unofficial, your self-reported score on your application. It's really important to note that some of these scores expire within 2 years. So you want to make sure you have a score that is not expiring or expired, that you have a valid score. And then we won't require anyone to submit the official test score report until they are offered admissions. Only students who need to demonstrate English proficiency can use the SAT or ACT to use their scores to meet that language proficiency requirement. And then again, students who have fewer than 3 years of high school in the US and whose primary language of instruction for the high school attended outside of the US, if that language of instruction was not English, will be required to submit English proficiency tests. Awesome. Activities and awards. There are 6 categories for the activities and awards section. Choose experience that have meaning, illustrate interest, or demonstrate leadership. You'll have 20 spaces to enter. Again, not required. It just limits you to 20. Students should do their best to categorize activities in a way that makes sense to them. We want to allow students the flexibility and choice to enter the activities that best reflect their interests and achievements, and applicants don't need to have something in each of these categories. So for awards and honors, awards are significant in nature, countywide, statewide, national, and indicate a high level of achievement with significant competition. School-based awards are more meaningful to readers if context is provided, such as 5th place out of 500. Even perfect attendance can be insightful. Again, give us context when you're listing. If you just list fifth place, you want to give context to kind of what the award is. And then also we want to hear about educational preparation programs. They're not limited to these, but some examples are AVID, Upward Bound, Gear Up. A list of common programs appear in that drop-down menu. And then if a program is not included, you are also able to manually enter it. We also want to hear about any other coursework, like we mentioned before. If it doesn't fall into that A through G category, you can list it here in the awards and activities, any volunteer or community service, and also any work experience. And then some pro tips. We are not mind readers. Make sure you use, if you're using acronyms, spell it out for us, pretty please, for any clubs or awards. Explain your level of involvement in detail. Remember, what's important is what you did, not just what the activity is. Avoid listing the same activity in more than one section. And if an applicant did not have the time or opportunity to participate in school or community activities or volunteer paid employment, explain to the readers why. How else did that applicant use their time? And was it a choice or a requirement? So for example, if a student is caring for their siblings, maybe they're providing elder care or commitment to doing homework, research projects, papers, anything like that. We understand that students are gaining valuable life experience, and we want to consider that in part of the comprehensive review, but we can't do that if you don't list it. So make sure to think about all of your responsibilities and activities. And then again, it's important for students to remember to describe their role, responsibility, and accomplishments in the activity rather than focusing on describing the activity. And then don't forget to select the 12th grade checkbox if you plan to continue that involvement in your senior year. Again, like we mentioned that list earlier, if you took part in an educational prep program, that dropdown will show you kind of the list of options you can see here: Puente, Upward Bound, UCSF internships, and things like that. If there's something that's not listed, you can select that other and manually enter it. So for scholarships and support programs, we're going to talk a little bit about how all the UCs offer scholarships for students who meet specific criteria. The applicant should review each scholarship choice and select those that match their characteristics, interests, and background. There's no limit to the amount of scholarships students can select. And then research other campus-based scholarships in the link provided at the bottom. If I could also have one of my colleagues drop that link as well. Not all scholarships are listed at this. And I like to note out to students, you definitely want to check that criteria for each scholarship. I'd hate for you to waste time applying for something that you don't qualify for. And then for support programs, if selected, additional follow-up questions will be presented to the applicant. You can indicate your interest in 2 of the UC's many support programs like EOP or UC's Foster Youth Program. And then once you select that, it'll give you more options. Awesome. We're running a little short on time here, but we're going to briefly talk about the personal insight questions. This is really important because it gives students an opportunity to for us to get to know you. It is the written section of the UC application. It's your opportunity to share any detailed information you feel like you weren't able to provide on any of the other part of the application. Applicants must respond to 4 of the 8 questions. It's really important to note that which questions you choose, they're all the questions have equal value. So if you want to respond to the ones that are most relevant to you. One question doesn't hold more weight over the other. And then keep in mind, these are not essays. We kind of like to tell students to think of them as like interview questions. You only have about 350 words per response. Your PIQ responses should be direct and literal. Focus on what information you are sharing in your responses, not the style in which you are sharing it. And then readers will be evaluating these writing like a writing sample. Oh, sorry. Readers will not be evaluating these like a writing sample. So, you don't want grammar or spelling errors to kind of derail us from understanding the message that is coming across, but those are not going to be considered. We're not looking at them as a writing sample. We're really using them to get to know you better. There's also an additional comments field in the UC application that can be used if you feel there's really important information that you didn't get to share from a PIQ or anywhere else on the application. And again, these are personal insight questions. It's not an English essay. Admission staff really want to learn what the student did and why, what they learned, how they applied what they learned, and all aspects of their life. Students should really focus on using I statements like I did this, I chose to do that, I really learned about. And this is really an opportunity to ensure that we get to know you. And we also have a really helpful resource for our personal insight questions. I'll have my colleagues drop that link in the chat as well. This is a screenshot of the personal PIQ page. The word count is listed here, and then students can opt to have the PIQ questions emailed to them on the screen as well. Students can use the additional comment section to explain any situation, circumstance, or experience that does not appear elsewhere in the application. Awesome. So submitting your UC application. Before you submit your application, students will have the opportunity to review each section. A check mark is going to appear beside the section to indicate that it is complete. So keep that in mind if you are kind of logging in and out, going back to your application, that you'll see that check mark once you're done with a section. It is important to remember that once submitted, only personal information can be updated, like your name and email address. Really, once you click that submit button, you won't be able to change anything that you had put on your application. And you should really carefully review each section and ensure it is thorough, complete, and accurate, since you won't be able to update any coursework, grades, activities, or your PIQ responses. Missing information. So review and submit. Students will be prompted to correct any errors before they can continue the submission process. If there's missing information, you'll be able to see what is missing on the application after the warning screen. This screenshot is an example of a student missing a year in the math subject area. If the student sees the missing coursework error, they have the option of editing the academic history or confirming that the information is correct. Missing coursework will not will not prevent the student from submitting the application as long as they confirm the information is correct. Awesome. So we did talk about those application fees a little bit earlier. If eligible for a UC application fee waiver, that will be noted on the screen. You'll see this kind of pop-up for the fee waiver, and you must accept and apply the fee waiver. And then application fees may be paid by credit card or check. Release authorization statement and integrity. You just want to read this carefully, that you certify that your application, all the information in your application submitted is accurate, including your academic record. If information is withheld, such as poor grades or any falsification is detected, the application is subject to cancellation. So again, can't emphasize it enough. Honesty is the best policy. When in doubt, ask an admissions officer. And then submission confirmation, you'll get an application ID. You want to keep this ID number in a secure place as it will be used throughout the admissions process, including decision release occurring in the spring. This screen will also show you the complete list of campuses that you applied to, fees, fee waivers, and then your application ID, the day that you submitted your application, and the payment method. You'll also get this information over email confirmation. Once submitted, applicants can log back into their UC app to review the available options listed in the navigation menu. Again, changes to the UC application are limited to just like your email and your name once it's submitted. Quickly here, we're going to talk about our resources. We have the UC admission website and the UC application website. If you come across any questions, you can contact the UC info at applyucsupport.net, and you can call the application center as well. We have our hours listed here. And then on the next screen, if you want to scan this QR code, you'll find general admission information, UC admission requirements, the admission selection process, and then filling out that UC application, which is going to share everything that we went over together today. Amazing. We don't want you to miss out on our additional events. You found us today, but continue to check that events tab on our website. You'll find it under the visit section of our homepage, and you can register for the variety of events designed to support you throughout the application process. And if you happen to miss any of our virtual events, don't worry, all the recordings will be posted on our events recording page located under helpful resources. Awesome. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and X. If you want to follow us, it's UCSD Admissions. We also love to see the hashtag Future Triton. You can also find us on YouTube, where this recording will be available in about 2 weeks at UC San Diego Admissions. Amazing. And with that, I just want to thank you all so much again for attending today's presentation. If you weren't able to get your questions answered or anything comes up while you're filling out that UC application, feel free to contact our admissions department. You can call us at 858-534-4831 or use our contact us form on our website. And that's a wrap for our webinar today. Thank you all for joining us, and we wish you a wonderful evening and best of luck with those applications. Thank you.